Hello everyone, my name is Asma. I am clinical neurophysiology trainee in London, and this video is about less than full-time training and also less than full-time work for the doctors who are not in training. So first of all, I've been asked this question quite a few times by my friends and colleagues, especially people who are on tier 2 visa, because I think we all face a stage where we are really drained and tired, and working in the NHS as a junior doctor can be really challenging. And if you're committed to full-time work and you're not able to give your best, I think that is not fair on your part, as well as for the trust where you're working for. So I will explain the scenario in two different situations, for the doctors who are in training and for the doctors who are not in training. So importantly, for the doctors who are not in training, I think it's not an impossible option to work less than full time. I've worked as a trust grade middle grade registrar for around 3 years, and the time when I really knew about my options, I think I worked on it and I succeeded in getting 80% of work, and that really changed my life, and it had a really positive effect on my mental health, on the way I was working, on even a patient care and my compassion to work. And it didn't kind of really compromised a lot on my salary as well, because living in this country is expensive, so you need to find a balance where you can work as well and meet your ends as well. So as a trust grade, first of all, I would say don't become like really disappointed that this option is not for you. It might be a bit delay. You might need to see individually how you can convince the department. So for example, in my situation, I had really to know, actually to convince myself that this is too much and it was getting too intense for me to keep on going, because unfortunately at that time we were really under pressure, and we were really extremely short on middle grade rota, which makes a very bad knock-on effect on your performance and your work, and you get drained in all directions. So I first of all realized that I'm really exhausted and I cannot cope with this anymore, mentally as well as physically. I was totally drained. So I spoke to my clinical supervisor, and I had then I was still there was a bit back and forth, and I had to then write an email and then get to the clinical lead, and then we had a meeting, and I had to genuinely express all my reasons, and I had to present and convince them XYZ, because of these reasons I really cannot, I don't feel safe enough and efficient enough to continue this grill. I think they were still thinking, because they on their part they were really short on middle grade, and to giving somebody an allowance of working even less when you are already deficient in a department was not easy for them as well. So they had to prove their point to the management. And then I thought of going to occupational health, and though occupational health had a bit of a weight, but they did prioritize me. And then when I went to them, they had all their performers of analyzing risks and everything, and in the end they recommended that it's not something like a medical illness, it's all related to work, and she would feel better once she has given us some flexibility. So I think that was a final push which my department took on board, and I was allowed to work as 80%. So that is a story from my trust grade experience, and really just working one day less made a big difference in life. I could go to gym, I could get time to see my children around and work my life, have a better work-life balance, and enjoyed even my working more. So now coming to training. So in training, I would say the environment is more supportive. So you feel that you are listened very promptly. You just have to know where, when and how to raise your concern. But on the other hand, the expectation of from a trainee is higher. So even if you're saying that you are in a specialty who might be asking for less on calls or less out of hours working or XYZ, but still you know, the expectation from a trainee doctor is different from a trust grade, because they have to, they know, they have a set milestone and goals for you, and you cannot just not achieve them. You have to, you know, grind yourself. You have to prove yourself that you're good enough, and you are, you know, achieving well above, or you know, well along the lines of their expectations. So as a training, because as a trainee doctor, because I changed my specialty from pediatrics, which was a full on-call, hands-on, intense ITU kind of a setting, and then moving to more relaxed clinical neurophysiology, which is more of an investigation based, where you have less patient exposure. You have, per se, you are working 9 to 5, but the expectation to finish your targets is so high that I never, I hardly remember any day I came back home on time. So always you're late, you are catching up, and you're stressing yourself to meet the targets, and not to, you know, disappoint your colleagues and your seniors. So I would say in that scenario, even it took me time to realize that I'm grinding myself too much, and when you're really stressed, I think your efficiency also decreases. So that was a point that I realized that, you know, enough is enough. I need to reset myself, and I need to think what can work best for me. So I was missing out absolutely on everything, on my mental health, on my physical health, on my children, their education, all the routine was upside down. So then being in tier 2 visa, again, I thought that it would be a trouble, but I was aware that there are, you know, you can go to the HEE portal and you can ask for less than full time, and then they will analyze your application and they will give you a decision. So now I will explain the less than full time trainee visa requirement for the tier 2 visa holders. So the trainees who are still not yet have received their ILR and passport and working as a trainee, and they wish to work less than full time. I have got an Health Education of England guidance for that, because initially when I applied, I was not aware of the full rules. So the rules are basically, they have two aspects. First is minimum salary requirement, and second is minimum hours requirement. So first of all, minimum salary requirement is that you need to earn at least £30,000 per annum in order to qualify for tier 2 visa under the sponsorship of Health Education of England. So whatever your gross annual salary is, including your banding, so whatever your total salary is, you then say how much less you can go from that salary. Still it should be above 30,000. So if you can have an 80% share of that salary, and it's allowing you to be above 30,000, that's fair enough. If you can make it 75% or 70%, even 65% or 60%, this should be able to give you enough you know, validity for the sponsorship to be carried out by Health Education of England. So that is your minimum salary requirement. I would just like to explain, because I will show you the table as well. This is the sponsorship which was given after 5th of April 2017. So all the trainees who have got their tier 2 visa after 5th of April 2017, they need to earn 30,000 at least to be on the tier 2 visa. If they were given their tier 2 sponsorship between November 2016 and 5th of April 2017, then they could even be earning 25,000 pounds a year. They can still be granted tier 2 visa on this salary. And the trainees who were given sponsorship before 24th of November 2016, regardless of the employer, if they can earn £20,800 a year, they can still maintain their tier 2 visa. So these are the three broad categories, but I would say probably most of the trainees would have been granted after 2016 April. So your you know, threshold is 30,000 per annum for your salary. Now coming to the second requirement, which is the minimum hours that you need to work in order to maintain your tier 2 visa. So as a health education of England trainee, you need to work a minimum of 29 hours. I will show you the PDF for that. So now I am sharing you the flow chart of the minimum hours requirement. So the first thing, as we discussed, is the minimum salary, which I have gone through already. Second thing would be your hourly requirement. So my understanding is that you need to work 29 hours a week in order to qualify for your less than full-time trainee. For example, if you are in the normal 50% banding PEDS middle grade rota or the on-call rota with 48 hours a week, you can go as low as 65% of your working hours. But if you are like in the other specialty where it's 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, then the requirement might be up to 80% of the working hours. There is another thing, that if you were given your certificate of sponsorship on the basis of shortage occupation list, which to my knowledge is pediatrics, gynae and A&E. There might be a few addition to it, but at least I'm sure that these three specialties are still very short listed. So there's shortage of occupation. So if you are among shortage occupation list, then even less than 29 hours can be approved by HEE, given that you have proven your enough reasons. So these are the requirements that you need to make sure before writing an application. In writing in an application, you will be given the reasons why you are asking for less than full-time training, and most importantly, I think it's pretty straightforward. When you scroll down the button, they will give you the options. To what case applies to most of us is maybe the childcare issue or the dependent issue, where you need to take care of them, and your flexibility allows you to do that. So I think you can go for that. But if you cannot qualify for any of the given reasons, then you have to make an exceptional reason where the college deans have to agree on that this is a fair enough reason and a reasonable scenario where you'll be granted the decision. So that is really all about the less than full-time training, and all the best, and I hope that this was helpful. Thank you very much. Bye.